you caged in. This is what boys turn to made men. This ain't no game, ain't no playpen. Come with the hook and the kick, now your stomach is sick and there ain't no escaping. Come to the cage and get knocked out. Come into work and get clocked out. Get hit with uppercut, straight to the uppercut, down for the count and he can't even talk now. This MMA, what we talking about? Yeah, you tuned into the pod now. Gon' be hard for you to stop now. Yeah, we caged in. Yeah, we caged in. Yeah, we caged in.
Welcome back to another episode of Caged In. I'm your host, Chris DiCarlo. Got a very special guest on the line with me today. He's fighting at UFC Fight Night, Lewis versus Spivak on February 4th. It's Adam Fugitt. How we doing today, my man?
Doing well, man. Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good, bro. Thank you for, taking some time to come talk to me. I appreciate it. I know you're in the middle of fight camp. You got a fight coming up, so I appreciate the time.
Of course, man. Just anything to get myself out there to help somebody else out as well.
For sure, man. I appreciate it. Man, let's get into your background a little bit, man. Where were you born and raised? Kind of what was growing up like for you, and what's the backstory there?
Oh man, I was born right here in Eugene, Oregon. Born and raised. Yeah, man. Just kind of. I don't know. I guess I grew up in my dad's childhood home and basically went through the same footsteps that he did. Same elementary school, same middle school, same high school. It's kind of odd going there and teachers already kind of know your family and stuff, and having teachers that worked with him as well. So that was kind of my childhood. So yeah, this is where I've been.
For sure, man. I relate to that as well. I grew up in the same town as where both my parents grew up in, and going to middle school, high school, elementary school with a lot of the same teachers that they had as well. So I can relate to you on that aspect as well. Were you an athlete growing up? Did you play any sports? What was kind of like your outlet there?
Oh yeah, just always in sports. Shoot, I don't even remember a time where I wasn't participating in some kind of sport. Baseball was huge growing up. My uncle was a coach, and I played baseball with my cousin and actually multiple cousins. We were on the same team, and eventually, I was always kind of a high-strung kid, so I loved baseball, but it wasn't the physical outlet that I needed, I guess I'd say. I tried football for a few years, just wasn't my thing. Didn't really care for the contact there, the collisions with the helmet to helmet and stuff. And
right.
I found wrestling, and man, that was it, man. I found my sport. I knew exactly what I wanted to do, and it took me a couple more years to let go of all the other sports and just focus on wrestling. But thinking back on it, I wish I would have let go of that stuff a lot sooner and just focused on my wrestling game for sure.
Right. And how did that kind of lead you into mixed martial arts? Kind of how'd you get into the gym first, and how'd you start your MMA journey?
Oh man, after 1 year of junior college, basically, over here on the coast, just made the adult decision that, going and spending a bunch of money to just wrestle wasn't very intelligent. I didn't have any plans outside of competing in wrestling. So I came back, and in the midst of looking for a job, I found a jiu-jitsu gym and started doing jiu-jitsu, and immediately just for another outlet, and because I wasn't done competing. And that owner of that gym eventually merged with the gym I'm at now. And I walked in there, the gym I'm at now, for the first time, and said, you know what, I probably should take a striking class, because I'm pretty comfortable wrestling and doing grappling, but I've never struck, and a little bit of backyard boxing me and the friends used to do was never really comfortable. So I walked into my first Muay Thai class, and I don't know if the trainer didn't care for me or something. And oh man, I got my butt kicked by the guy on the mat that day. And
oh no,
I decided, you know what, I'm gonna spend some time and dedicate some energy and effort here. And so I fought Muay Thai for 3 years after that, just strictly Muay Thai, and
nice.
Eventually came back around full circle to MMA, as the plan was kind of to always do that.
Yeah, man, you mentioned your gym. I know you train over at Art of War MMA. Is that your primary gym? And do you have any other places that you kind of outlet to during fight camp, or are you just primarily at Art of War full time?
Primarily, I'm at Art of War. I've been lucky. Lucas Barbosa has moved into town, and he opened up Autos Northwest over here.
Mhm.
So going and getting to grapple with a guy like that, that caliber of jiu-jitsu is amazing as well. So I've been going over there as well, but Art of War is primarily my home. That's, there's a couple other places here in town, Performance Jiu-Jitsu, where Brent Primus is at. I go
Nice.
and train him a little bit here and there too. We all kind of us three try to meet up and train here in town. So it just depends on which gym. Like last night we were at Art of War, but
Right.
just depends on the time.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. How much does, Art of War mean to you, and kind of what has that gym, how have they helped you kind of develop your game to the point of your career that you're at right now?
I mean, it means a lot. I mean, hence why I haven't left. I've always said, I wanted to be the guy to blaze that Oregon trail. That we've had a lot of good fighters come out of Oregon. Evan
Right.
Dunn, Brent Primus, Colby Covington. Add my name to that list, and
Mhm.
for the most part, nobody's done it and stayed here in Eugene. Colby moved out to Florida. Evan moved out to Vegas. Brent Primus goes up to Portland. And so I wanted to be that guy. I wanted to be the guy to kind of, blaze that trail. We had another pro in Art of War that was very close to doing that as well, Chris San Jose. And that's just been a goal of mine to, not that you can't take everybody with you, but the people that have been closest to me and that have cared the most about my journey and my dream, I try to do my best to kind of, lift them up and carry them with me as I'm going through this process.
For sure, man. Much respect for that. Let's get into your fight history a little bit, man. I know you are pretty decorated in your pro career so far. You have a few belts around your waist. Let's talk about X1 World Events a little bit. I know you're the welterweight champion, or you were the welterweight champion there for promotion out of Hawaii, where they've had a lot of great fighters come out of there. Max Holloway, Ray Cooper, Brett Tavares, all fought for that organization and were champions as well. So what was your experience like with X1 and kind of, the couple fights that you had there? Like, how'd you feel about that organization and what you learned over there?
I can't say the experience was perfect, but it's definitely ended in respect over there. A foreigner comes in, man. I get it.
Yeah.
That nobody wants to see that belt go home back to the mainland.
Right.
They're very prideful over there. They're and they care about their fighters. They support their fighters, and they want they want their belts to stay in Hawaii. And I have nothing but respect for that. And you know, they're also very tough competitors over there. So both my opponents over there, I give my hats off to them. They're both very tough guys, very tough matchups. They came in there to win. And the first fight, that I had over there, it ended with some fans not being too happy, and they had to kind of escort me out the back. They didn't like that the Howley came in and did his work. And
Right.
the second time I had kind of earned their respect, and at least they knew what I was bringing to the table. And I fought another very respectful fighter on the island. And we put on a show, and I came out on top of that one. And I think they finally were just like, okay, hey, this guy's good, but we don't want to see him back here. So,
Right.
the pandemic happened. So I'm kind of joking around. I would definitely like to go back out there and fight whenever I could.
For sure, for sure. I know Hawaii is it's such like a cultural state, and they have nothing but love for their homegrown talent there. So I'm sure a guy like you, as being like the out of towner coming in and taking that belt back to Eugene, was a little tough for them to swallow. But props to you, man. That's huge. It's not easy to go into enemy territory and pull out one dub, never mind two, in a belt. So props to you for that. Nothing but respect. I saw something else on your record too, man. You fought. What was the Pure Combat 2019? You fought in a traditional ring,
Yeah.
versus a cage. What was the experience like for you fighting MMA in a traditional ring like that, instead of a cage?
Oh man, it took me back to my Muay Thai days, getting to push people into the corners. Those corners can be unforgiving. You get stuck in them.
Yeah.
Where the octagon, you kind of always have that room to slide a little bit. But yeah, it just takes me back to my Muay Thai days, pushing people up against the ropes, trying to use that kind of bounce back to throw some knees. The takedowns themselves are up against not the fence, the ropes.
Right.
Definitely, they're more difficult. You know, the ropes give a lot more. They have a lot more give, and
Yeah.
fence is going to keep a guy there. So we already knew that kind of going in. So any kind of like takedowns off the ropes, we're trying to avoid that. We're trying to hit takedowns out in the open if that was going to be the path, you know. But as far as for striking, you know, using the ropes to kind of bounce your opponent back into, you know, a potential shot that you throw, be it a knee or an elbow, you know, trying to just pin them in the corner, you know, you really put the whole, what we call the triangle offense on them when you can pin them in that corner. They can't move right, they can't move left. So,
yeah,
you know, yeah, I don't know. It was definitely different, but it's also got its advantages for sure.
Yeah, man, I had to ask you about it because that's one of those things we don't see too much anymore in MMA. Usually everybody's fighting in cages, and it just kind of reminds me of like the old school like Pride days. So whenever I see somebody throwing down in a traditional ring in MMA, I think it's pretty cool. So I figured I'd pick your brain about that and ask you about it, but it's a pretty cool experience.
Definitely, it was. I very much enjoyed it.
Hell yeah. All right, man. LFA 125. Let's get into that one. You fought a hot up-and-coming prospect, Solomon Renfro, who was coming off the Contender Series, and you went in there and you put him out in the first round. What was that experience like for you, kind of going in there versus a prospect like him and, you know, doing what you do and putting him away in the first round and on a big stage like LFA? Kind of what was that feeling and experience like for you?
A lot of different experiences there. Emotions, I guess is a better word. Coming off the layoff, you know, not for a lack of trying to fight, but just not getting a fight for almost 2 years. We definitely didn't talk about the fight going into it because it was almost like this phobia that if somebody brought it up too soon, it would fall through.
Right.
So having 2 years of layoff, then that phobia, you know, just basically preaching in my mind the whole time that, you know, preparation meets opportunity and this is it. And just, you know, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And I've prepared myself for the worst and just having ultimate trust going in there. And then finally just to go in there and know what I was capable of. Taking that fight, I had people going, "What the heck are you doing?" You know, like, you don't have to fight this guy. You're only like 1 or 2 fights away, and you know, and I don't like to think that I run away from anybody. I'll say I want to fight the best that I can, and that's what I'm here for. I want to prove. It's a constant battle of me proving to myself that I deserve to be here, that you know, I am that good. I want to be one of those guys, and so I don't see myself, you know, shunning away from fighting anybody. And so I wanted to fight the best, and that's the matchup they were given, and we liked the matchup going in.
For sure.
You know, and then the ultimate goal of getting the finish in the first round and redeeming myself for the first LFA fight, you know, I took on short notice and up a weight class, and you know, knowing what I'm capable of, knowing, you know, hey, that, you know, just 1 loss doesn't define me as a fighter. 2 losses doesn't define you as a fighter. It's how you get back in the gym. It's how you prepare for the next. It's how you constantly grow, you know. And
hell yeah, man.
That's it, really.
For sure, man. For sure. I respect that a lot. You know, let's get into your UFC debut a little bit. You know, you took that fight on short notice versus Michael Morales at UFC 277. What was it like getting the phone call to get that opportunity to go to the UFC and the decision behind taking this fight?
I mean, it was surreal for sure. I want to say that I had some gigantic, like, you know, emotional moment, but I was more like shocked and kind of frozen in my seat. And you know, as a fighter, you get into the sport, and that's what you want to do. You want to go and wear those 3 letters and step inside and hear your name being called out by Bruce Buffer, and you know, getting to shake hands with Joe Rogan and Dana White. That's what you want to do. And you know, I had, you know, through the pandemic and some other stuff, I kind of come to terms with maybe my time had passed. Maybe I wouldn't be able to reach that pinnacle. And, you know, but I'm stubborn, you know, so I'm not going to be deterred. I'm going to continue to do what I can and be the best fighter that I can be. And to get that call was just, it was a surreal moment, and just a real, just put me at a real loss for words. I just kind of sat there and basked in the moment a little bit.
For sure, man. I mean, that's the call that everybody that's outside the UFC, that's the call everybody's waiting for. So I'm sure that there was a lot of emotions and a lot of things going through your head. And you went in there, you made your UFC debut. It obviously didn't go your way, but we're coming back for a second one, February 4th. On UFC Fight Night versus Yusaku Kinoshita. How do you feel about this matchup for you? What do you know about your opponent, and how do you feel that you match up stylistically versus him?
It kind of reminds me of another Solomon fight. I like the matchup. He's very confident in his hands. Got a lot of confidence in his boxing, actually. And then, he's kind of got this like Kempo karate style. He stands really bladed. I just don't see an area that I don't match up well with him, if he, first off, he's going to have to kind of break through that barrier I'm going to set. It's my space. It's my pace and my space. And he's going to have to try to, basically cut the distance there. And if he does too recklessly, or, if he does without, purpose, he's, he can find himself getting tied up real quick, where I'm very comfortable in the clinch and using my knees and my elbows, and, or worse, he can find himself on his back. And since the Morales fight, I definitely have a little chip on my shoulder from that first round and losing that takedown, and allow my opponent to get back up to a position of 50-50. And I want to prove to, not only myself, but to the UFC also, that if I get somebody on the ground, I'm going to keep them there. And they're very much in danger of being finished from there too, because I do hold my grappling in high regards. And so, yeah, if he isn't careful, he's going to find himself getting taken down as well.
For sure, man. When you visualize this fight, I'm sure you're going through the mental game as well, visualizing the fight, visualizing how you're going to perform and the matchup versus him. How do you ideally see this fight, going down for you? Are you like someone that likes to throw out predictions, or do you have a certain finish that you see in your mind when you visualize this fight?
I keep saying I want the KO, and I do. I want the KO. I want to be known as an exciting, entertaining fighter, somebody that puts on good fights. But let's be honest, like, a KO isn't necessary. I want the finish, though. And I'm going to take it however I can get it. Referee stoppage, TKO, submission. I want fans to know anytime I go in there that I'm hunting that finish. I think my record kind of shows that. It's either finishing people or being finished. So. I put myself out there on the line every time I hop in there, and in hopes of putting on a big performance and getting a good finish.
For sure, man. This Fight Night card is taking place at the UFC Apex. Your first UFC experience, was in Dallas, big sold out crowd at UFC 277. Now you're going to the Apex to fight in front of like a minimal crowd. How does that kind of play out for you in preparations, as far as like fighting in front of a giant crowd and then fighting in front of like maybe a few hundred people instead?
I've never been in this situation. So I'm just going to stick to my guns and say it doesn't change at the end of the night. It's a fight. It's an opportunity to go in there and perform. It's an opportunity to go in there and show people who I am and that I belong here. And that's what I'm going to stick with. Yeah, 9 days going into Dallas. Yeah. I never fought in that big of a venue or on that big of a show in my life, so it can't be much different than that.
For sure. How do you feel about the landscape of this UFC's welterweight division when you look at it? How do you feel about your place in this division, and kind of anybody in particular that you have your eye on that you would like to fight? Maybe sometime before your career's over, or maybe before the end of the year.
To be honest, the landscape, I haven't really quite took it all in. I mean, let's be honest, where I'm at right now, I very much look like I'm a a gatekeeper. I'm holding the keys to getting in the UFC. I guess you could say, if you. And I don't want to be just the guy holding the keys to the front entrance. You know, I definitely want to be working my way up the stairs a little bit, and you know, I'd like to. You know, I don't feel confident right now. I'm making call outs or anything, and
For
so
sure.
there are guys in the division that I've watched growing up, and I'd love to get in there and test myself against them. Guys like a Robbie Lawler or Jorge Masvidal, but let's be honest. Like a call out for me to those guys is pretty ridiculous. That's not going to happen. I'm peanuts as far as they're concerned. You know. But yeah, you know, this is it's a ladder for a reason, right?
Right.
Each step has got a person on it, and I'm just going to try to continue to work my way up that ladder. And if by the time I'm done, I'm able to fight some of those Hall of Famers or eventual Hall of Famers that I've watched growing up, then I'll be happy and ecstatic about it.
For sure, man. Never say never. It is one of those things where you string together a few wins and you never know what kind of doors will open for you. So hopefully we get that started on February 4th, get your first UFC W, and then, we start getting you up that ladder and, start making a name for yourself in the division, and you get some of those big fights that you're looking for, man. So, nothing but respect and admiration for you and what you're working towards. And I hope you get everything out of your UFC career that you want and you possibly can, man. So big ups to you, bro.
I appreciate all that positivity right there, man. I really do.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, man. Before I get you out of here, I got a few just like random fun questions to throw at you. Get you out of here quick. I said I would get you out of here in a little bit. So let's wrap it up and let's get some fun ones in.
Right.
What's your go-to post-fight meal?
Go-to post-fight meal.
Yeah, you got anything particular that you always like craving after a fight now that you like to go, crush after a hard night's work?
So we post-fight, let's see. I don't know. It's hard because usually you're in a different spot. You're just trying to pick out a restaurant.
Right.
I think last time in Dallas, I went with some pasta.
There you go.
Heavy
on the carbs.
Yeah, I went heavy on I think it was like an Alfredo too. So
there you go.
But yeah, I think it just kind of depends on where I end up. I like a good steak.
Sure.
I like some pasta. If that steak comes with a potato, it better be a loaded potato with sour cream and bacon on top and some onions in there or something. But
there you go.
Yeah, that's
hell yeah.
All dependent on where you're at.
Definitely. Do you have a favorite movie?
Yeah, I went with The Departed.
Yeah, you can't go wrong.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that one. Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? I love that movie as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm always caught off guard on those things. I watch way too many movies.
Yeah, I'm a big movie and TV show guy too, so it's hard for me. If somebody asked me that, it'd be hard for me to pick out just one too.
Right.
What's the best piece of advice that you've ever been given?
The best piece of advice I've ever been given. Let's see. Just catching me off guard.
I know, man. I'm just throwing them out of left field at you.
Yeah. I don't know if it was given to me or if I just, came across it, but it's that it's kind of like that Mamba mentality. It's probably a YouTube video if anything, but just Kobe Bryant talking about, every day you wake up and if you're an athlete, if you're an aspiring athlete, it comes with work. None of it. Sure, there is people that are naturally gifted, but without development, without practice, then that's all they are, is just naturally gifted. And if you're not naturally gifted, the only way you're going to develop those skills is by getting out there and putting that work in. So, just every day that you wake up, you get out there, you put yourself in the environment to basically, develop and build those skills.
Yeah, for sure, man. That mama mentality that you spoke on, man, that's something serious. I mean, that's, Kobe lived by a certain lifestyle, and, any athlete that kind of, follows that mentality is usually finds success because it's something powerful there. So RIP Kobe, and, I respect that you brought that up. This one might kind of hit home for you a little bit, man. In real life, would you rather lay your eyes on Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster? Which one would you rather see for yourself?
Oh man, that's anxiety when I get in the water, man. I'm always worried that something's gonna be trying to get a hold of me. So I'd
Yeah.
rather see Sasquatch than I would the Loch Ness.
Yeah, for sure. I know you're up there in Eugene, Oregon, so I know that's kind of a big part of, the lore of the woods up there and whatnot. So you have any crazy stories from anybody up in that region?
Oh, nah. I mean, nothing
No.
that's not wise man's tale.
Yeah, for sure.
But
I know I made a trip up to the Pacific Northwest, a few years ago, and everywhere you go, like everything is kind of like Bigfoot, Sasquatch type stuff. So I thought that one was kind of hit home for you since you're from that region as well.
For sure.
All right, man. Last one before I get you out of here. If you were the host of a late night talk show, who would be your dream guest to have on that show?
Oh shit. Was a late night talk show host.
Yeah, you have anybody that like you idolize that you'd love to just like sit down and have a one-on-one conversation with?
I think it'd be cool to talk to Jim Carrey, man.
Yeah, I mean, he's an interesting dude, so that's a good pull.
Yeah, I think so. I grew up on Jim Carrey films and whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, he just knowing a little bit about his life and that near-death experience that he had, that would be interesting to have a conversation with that man.
Oh, for sure, for sure. All right, Adam, I appreciate you, bro. Thanks for taking the time out to come chop it up with me. Best of luck on February 4th. Go get that W. You have anything that you want to say before I get you out of here? Anything you want to plug? Any social medias you want people to come find you at?
Just shout out to Brad's Cottage Grove Chevrolet, Evergreen Roofing, Curtis Large, Art of War MMA, Autos Northwest, Hot Valley Brewing, that just for all the support. Shout out to my guy Connor McAdams for helping me with my weight cut, and shout out to my girlfriend Sophie Lang.
Oh yeah, man. Appreciate you, brother. Thanks for taking the time. Like I said, best of luck to you on February 4th. Hopefully I'll get to talk to you again soon.
All right, man. You have a good one.
Thanks, man. You too.